everyone, it's Zoe and I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite and least favorite warrior books. Alrighty, let's get started, but before I go into it, I just want to say that although I don't hate any of the warrior books actually, some of them I prefer much more than others. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get started. My least favorite book is SkyClan's Destiny. The reason why this is my least favorite book out of all the warrior books is that it feels really out of place with the rest of the series, and it feels very disjointed from, the four main clans in the forest and the lake. Really, most of the early SkyClan books, like Firestar's Quest and SkyClan's Destiny, were really not that good in comparison to the later SkyClan books, like Hawkwing's Journey and A Vision of Shadows, which are amazing in my opinion. Those books completely redeemed SkyClan for me. They also made SkyClan come back into the clans, which in my opinion was really well done, and I'm glad it was done sooner rather than later, because if SkyClan had never interacted with any of the other clans, it would have seemed just like, a fake story, like something that wasn't needed, something extra. Like, you would not have had to read this story. But actually, with the new series, you do. But about SkyClan's Destiny, it's first of all, it's boring. It's not like the clan's in danger or anything. I mean, it just is what it is. It's just a story that's, you don't need to read, but it's just there. I don't really particularly like it. It's just feels really disconnected from the main arcs. And with that said, my second least favorite book is Firestar's Quest. The reason I don't like, again, it's the same reason I don't like SkyClan's Destiny. That's the reason I also don't like Firestar's Quest. It's because it's boring and there seems to be no tie to the original clans or the original arcs. I mean, it does include Firestar and Sandstorm, and it does take place, at least some of it, in ThunderClan, but very little. Most of it is focused on building SkyClan, which really doesn't have anything to do with the main clans until A Vision of Shadows, which is for way later. Long time later. Alright, now with my third least favorite book, Moonrise. You could probably understand why this is one of my least favorite books. The New Prophecy wasn't my favorite arc, like a lot of people know. And yes, I know a lot of people don't like this arc just like me. I mean, I like this arc, it's not my favorite. And I really didn't like Leafpool's point of view because it's just so boring, and she doesn't do anything. She just sits there and acts like a camera or a window into the clans, which is great, but it can get a little tedious at times to read. And I have a feeling a lot of people feel the same way about this book. However, there's one thing I like about this book, and that's Feathertail's death. I really like Feathertail. In fact, she's one of my favorite characters. And her death was really sad for me. It was really, really probably one of the most tragic deaths to read about, and Crowfeather was so sad about it. It really changed pretty much everything. I mean, if Feathertail lived, things could have been so different. That's why this book isn't really all bad to me. It's actually not that bad in comparison to the other books I talked about. Now we have Sunset. Alright, so Sunset is the last book of the New Prophecy, and if you know this series and if you know this arc, I think you can guess why it's here. Because it's not like a huge grand finale like The Darkest Hour, which is an amazing book. This book is more... It's like... It's less of this huge grand finale and more of just an ending. Like, it leaves me just less satisfied because it's not as big as an ending as like The Darkest Hour, which is huge. But this just isn't just satisfying enough for me. It's not like it's terrible, it's just like I just didn't like the ending all that much. Alright, now we have The Untold Stories. The reason why I put this here is because these books are a little boring. I mean, there's like Hollyleaf Stories, probably the worst out of all of these. I like Cloudstar's Journey. I like Cloudstar's Journey a lot, and how it explains exactly how SkyClan left the forest. That's cool, but it just doesn't, it's not good enough for me. Anyways, these stories are a little boring. They don't really add anything. That's why I put them here. Unfortunately, I don't have this book with me, but I will get it soon. It's Midnight, and I thought this book was a good starting point for the New Prophecy. I mean, the New Prophecy isn't the best arc, but like, this is a fair starting point. It's not terrible, but I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not like terrible. It's actually good. Like, it's a good starting point, and I just, the only reason I put it this low was because it would have been less of a fair starting point for like the good, really good arcs. Next one we have is The Sight. The Sight is just, again, it's a good starting point. It's a good start book. It's a good first book. Fair first book. But it's just, there's no overarching plot. There's no, the clans like aren't really in danger of dying out or anything. It's just typical everyday life of the clans. And I mean, I'd read anything about the clans, so like, you know what, I'm not complaining or anything. So yeah, it's just a fun, light story about 3 kids who discover powers, and you know what, I don't hate it. I like it. This was one of the first warrior books I read, and I really enjoyed it then. Rereading it, I still kind of enjoy it. Just kind of lost that first, sight. So next we have Ravenpaw's Path. This book, I thought, the storyline was, well, it was okay, but like, it could not, it just, again, like, it's the same problem we have with the other books. It didn't really fit in with the rest of the main arcs. It didn't really have a place. It just was there. It didn't, no one, I'm pretty sure everyone else, all the cast in the book forgot about it. Like it barely even mattered in the long run, and it just, it's a small, nice story. It's a nice standalone story, but like, in a big arc, tends to be forgotten about. Although I say the drawings are amazing and the character designs are everything. And the art is really good. That's what I have to say about this book. If I was writing on art alone, this book would be like my favorite. All right. Next we have Night Whispers. This book was the 3rd book of Omen of the Stars, which I can understand most fans of the series not particularly liking. And I get that, but I actually kind of like this book. I mean, it's not the best out of Omen of the Stars. I certainly think there are better books, but this book is pretty good. Like, it's a fair book.